guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Andrea, and today is just another day in the life. Today I am bringing you the first video in the new series called Tuesday's Animal Topic of the Day. If you would like a future shout out in one of my upcoming videos, please leave some suggestions down below as to what topics you would like me to cover. And if I end up featuring your topic, I will definitely give you guys a shout out. This is Boopa. Well, that's what I call him. And this is our rainbow baby. For those of you guys who have been following my story about loss and everything, he is finally, well, he's been here for 10 months. And I'm just now introducing him. So this is Bennett. Say hi. Go ahead and wave. Okay, that's good enough. So he will be in this video because he's being very cranky, and that's unfortunately my life as a mother, so you will have to go ahead and deal with him being in the video. But other than that, go ahead and grab a drink, grab a coffee, a tea, soda, whatever floats your fancy. I'm gonna go ahead and take a sip of this bubbly sangria that I have. That's so good. And this video is definitely going to be quite a long video. It's a topic that I feel needs to be covered, but it's not covered a whole lot, so I have a bunch of notes on it. If you see me glancing down, it's because I am glancing at my notes, because there's just a lot to cover about this topic. So Tuesday's animal topic of the day is a very important topic that doesn't get addressed a whole lot, and I hate it because I see a lot of videos on YouTube that actually recommend diets for sugar gliders. Hi, Boopa! They actually recommend sugar glider diets that are not healthy for them. They recommend pellet diets and just junk. It's just junk, people. Don't fall for that. Anybody that recommends pellet diets is false, is misinformed. They need to do their research and look into it further. A sugar glider really needs a good staple diet, and that leads me to the topic of the day, which is, what is a staple diet and why does my sugar glider need one? So basically, when I refer to staple diet, I refer to a diet that is eaten in order to adequately meet the nutritional and enrichment needs of a sugar glider. So you might be wondering, what would a staple diet be? What falls under that category? I don't know what you are talking about. You're not talking English. It can be very confusing at first, and there's a lot of information out there on staple diets, so I'm going to go ahead and give you that information. Some approved diets for sugar gliders are either LGRS Sugi Soup, Val's Green Variety Diet, Australian Wambaroo Diet, Original High Protein Wambaroo Diet, Green Original High Protein Green Original High Protein Wambaroo Diet, TPG, or better known as the Pet Glider Diet, PML or Pockets Modified Lead Beaters, BML or Bourbon's Modified Lead Beaters, and those are pretty much all the diets that are recommended as a staple diet. Another thing to consider is that not all HPW or high protein Wambaroo diets contain real Wambaroo supplement, and you want to make sure that it contains actual high protein Wambaroo supplement so that your sugar glider is getting the best amount of protein and everything that they need in order to sustain a good life. So basically, there's a lot of copycats out there that try to copycat HPW, and one of them is instant HPW. This diet claims to have high protein and actual Wambaroo powder supplement, but it's actually repackaged, so realistically, really anything could be in it. So just because of that, that's not considered a good diet for sugar gliders because the packaging is really sketchy, so we're not really sure what's actually in it. Diets with legitimate Wambaroo powder many times will require you to buy the Wambaroo powder separately, and there will be some mixing involved. So beware if there is a diet out there that says just add water and it says it's a complete diet. stay away from those diets. It most likely is not the right type of diet for your sugar glider. So some people might wonder, what are my thoughts on glider gravy? Because if you go to the pet store, a lot of times they'll give you a diet of pellets and glider gravy or glider chow, something along those lines, and they will say it's the best diet for your sugar glider. And these are my thoughts on that. Glider gravy is actually a form of HPW complete, or high protein Wombaroo powder complete. And Pocket Pets basically renamed it. They do have permission from the company to do that, but a lot of the times they will rename a diet such as HPW or whatever it may be. They'll rename it to be something cute, so just to basically market and get more people to buy it. But glider gravy does not have any actual high protein Wombaroo powder in it, and it's not considered a complete diet. So if you were thinking, oh, this looks really easy, and this is what the pet store told me, no. You do not want to get that for your glider. Your glider, short term, it may not affect them and you might not see the difference, but long term, the better diet your glider is on, or really any animal for that matter, the longer and happier of a life they are going to live. Another one that is very controversial, another diet, is Critter Love. So basically, these are my thoughts on Critter Love. Critter Love has not been tested for health and nutritional value on sugar gliders. So first of all, I don't feel comfortable giving my gliders something that has not been tested. A lot of people do, and a lot of people have no issues. They say it's this amazing diet and it's wonderful. I'm not so sure. I've heard a lot, pretty much for every great story of a sugar glider on Critter Care, or Critter Love, sorry, there is another equally bad story for a sugar glider that just deteriorated so bad on Critter Love. Another thing is that Critter Love is one of those complete diets that pretty much they just tell you to add water and everything's good to go. It contains dehydrated and synthetic ingredients. A lot of you guys probably know that whenever a food is dehydrated, it does actually lose some of its value nutrition-wise. And another thing is that it contains a very controversial ingredient, which is synthetic vitamin K. The reason why synthetic vitamin K is controversial is because it has actually been banned by the FDA for use in humans because it's linked to liver issues in humans. So if you can only think about that, give it a thought. If it's not recommended for humans because it can cause us liver failure and stuff like that, then I don't want to give that to an itty bitty sugar glider. It's just going to destroy them, in my thoughts. But again, it's one of those things that some people say vitamin K is perfectly fine, and then other people say it's this horrible thing. So I encourage you to definitely do your own research and come upon an educated thing for you, that you've done your research and whatever works for you. Basically, don't listen to what anybody says on YouTube or on the internet. Even myself, I am wrong sometimes. This is the research that I've done and I'm bringing you this info, but if you guys ever find any different research or anything like that, please bring it to my attention so that I can either say, no, that's not a valid source, or yes, that's a valid source, I apologize. If I am wrong, I will apologize, but for the majority of these things, I've researched it extensively. Another version of Critter Love is Critter Love Plus. That has also not been tested on sugar gliders for nutritional value. So basically it is fed in a similar way to original high protein Wombaroo diet. So if you were considering Critter Love Plus as a diet for your sugar glider, your best bet would be to go with original high protein Wombaroo diet. That one is actually on one of the approved staple diets which have been tested for sugar gliders. And you can find all of these diets on sugarglider.info. If you go there, you'll find a lot of good advice. Another diet that a lot of people think is awesome, and it's vet recommended a lot of times, is HPW fruit and veggie, or it'll have like HPW bugs or something like that. It basically comes in a jar, and it's a complete diet that's ready to go. You just scoop a little bit out and feed it to your gliders. I definitely do not recommend that. First of all, it's in a jar packaging, and a lot of things in jars are actually have a lot of preservatives, and they're not very healthy for anybody, let alone gliders. And also, it doesn't contain any actual Wambrew high protein supplement. So it's saying that it has the complete amount of protein and everything else, but it really doesn't. In reality, it does not have enough protein for your glider's needs. Gliders really do best on a fresh and more natural diet, so anything you can get in the store that's prepackaged is not good. You need to at least have some mixing going on or putting together of ingredients for it to really be a balanced diet for your gliders. Another copycat of HPW is Zoo Pro High Protein Kit. It's basically, it's exactly a copycat. And it has, again, no actual HPW powder. So they just tell you HPW, that it has it in it, just to get you to buy it, when in reality, that's not what you're buying. So again, always do research on what you are buying in the stores. Some people might ask, what makes staple diets important and so special? Well, for one, staple diets have actually been tested for as long as sugar gliders have been pets. They've been tested for nutritional value. They run a whole bunch of different tests, such as coat quality and different things for sugar gliders. So they actually have been proven to have the correct amount of vitamins and all of that. Because something that sugar gliders can get is they can get deficient in certain vitamins, and it can cause them to actually go through paralysis. So you definitely don't want that for your sugar glider. So another controversial item is pellets. Some people do use pellets as a snack, and I don't judge people who do that. I mean, sometimes your sugar gliders, you want to leave something for them during the day. Pellets aren't the best thing you can leave for them during the day. If you have to leave something for them, I would rather you leave like a good quality, not a junk food cat food, but a good quality cat food, or a piece of apple or some kind of fruit is best to leave for them. But some people do use pellets as a snack food. And some people use pellets as a main source of nutrition, which is not good. Pellets as a main source are never recommended. If you do any research at all, you will know that is not the right diet for your sugar glider. And also, some people think staple diets are a lot of work, and in reality, yes, it's overwhelming. Yes, your gliders might not like a certain staple diet that you do, but it's all about trial and error at first, and the more that you get used to mixing these ingredients at home, the easier and easier it'll get. Because I remember my first time I made TPG, and it took forever. It seemed like an eternity to mix the fruit, and I was like, you know what, this isn't worth it. You know, I was gonna give up because it's a lot at first. But now I switched them over to BML, or bourbon modified lead beaters diet, and it really doesn't take me that long to do a 2-month supply of food for sugar gliders. It maybe takes 30 minutes, if that, so it's really not that hard once you get used to it. Some people might wonder, what would happen if I just feed my gliders an already made diet that I can purchase in the store, because I just don't have time to make a staple diet? Well, there's a lot of things that can happen, and some of these things are less energy, increased health risk, and a lot more vet visits. They also live on average less than a sugar glider would if they were on a good quality staple diet. And also they can have a discolored coat by a poor diet. They can also deal with odor issues. A lot of people don't realize that if your sugar gliders are very smelly, Yes, they do have certain scent glands that cause a musky odor. However, if your sugar gliders have an overwhelming smell, and especially if you don't have a male, you might want to check their diet. A lot of times if they're on a bad diet of glider gravy or pellets or any of that, it will create this bad smell. And another thing is if you give them any fish as a source of protein, it will also create a bad smell. Not only that, but fish is not typically recommended as a protein source for sugar gliders because it can be really high in mercury, and for a tiny little animal like that, they can easily overdose on mercury. And keep in mind, a discolored coat can also be caused by several other factors. Like if you have a male, he might mark on the females as a territorial thing. It doesn't always mean that your pet is on a bad diet. But if you notice that they are on a bad diet and they do have a discolored coat, that might be moving them to a better diet, might be a way of improving the overall texture and health of their coat. Alright guys, now for the final question that I get asked in real life all the time when I'm trying to tell people about sugar glider diets. I always get asked, why hasn't anybody made a well-rounded, complete, prepackaged diet for sugar gliders? And that's a very valid question because, we can go to the store and we can get a complete diet for dogs and for cats, and it's not the best. Ultimately, dogs should be on a raw diet. A raw diet is better for a lot of animals, but it's the best prepackaged to where if you feed your dog that food and it has the right protein and right ratios, then your dog's overall quality of life is going to be pretty good. So they asked me, why don't they have that for sugar gliders? And it's one main reason. It's because there's just not enough of a market for sugar glider owners and their pets. And the companies know that it takes several years of research and trial and error to come up with a complete, all-in-one kind of diet. It's different if you're testing separate components in a diet you hand mix together. It takes a lot less time to research. But if you're trying to basically research a diet that does it all, that takes a very long time. And they just don't want to spend their resources or time on something that there's not a market for. So now for the fun part. But before we go to the fun part, I am going to take another sip of my bubbly sangria. That's really good. Hi! Alright, so basically, a lot of people also wonder what kind of treats they can give their sugar glider. So some good treats, keep in mind that with treats, you're not going to give a lot at a time, and it's not going to be frequent that you give the treats. It is a treat for a reason, so keep that in mind and please be sparing with your treats. However, these are the treats that are perfectly fine and safe for sugar gliders. You can either give them dried fruit pieces. Just keep in mind, try to look for dried fruit that contains no extra sugar, preservatives. Try to make it as healthy as it can be. Also, freeze-dried meats. You can get those on Amazon, actually. They have freeze-dried meats, and it's 100% meat, no other ingredients. Those are actually really healthy of a snack for sugar gliders. You can also get freeze-fried veggies on nuts.com. That's just one place where I find freeze-dried veggies, and those are pretty healthy. They don't have a whole lot of extra ingredients that you're giving your sugar gliders. And some lickable treats or treats you can put on your finger for the sugar glider to lick off are applesauce, yogurt, or honey. Now there's some other treats that are more fun, like I don't know if you guys have already watched my Suburban Sugar bakery video with the box opening. I got actually quite a bit of a little stash off of her website recently. Things like that you can do on special occasions. These are like very rare, once in a blue moon treats. You definitely don't want to overdo it on these, especially because they can be a little high in sugar and other things that just won't be very good for your glider in the long term. But pretty much everything in moderation is okay, with exception to few foods, which I will talk about in a little bit. So basically, you can use cookie baking chips, the white baking chips. You don't want to use anything that contains chocolate. You can also do almond slivers, plain Cheerios. Do not do the Honey Nut Cheerios, just the plain Chex, or mini marshmallows. And you can also give them yogurt drops. You want to avoid artificial dyes and flavors. They do have yogurt drops in the pet stores, but those are not really your best option. Ultimately, I many times make my own yogurt drops. I just basically spoonful whole milk yogurt onto a pan and freeze it, and then once they're frozen, I put them all in a Ziploc. It's just the easiest way to make sure you know what's going into your sugar glider treats and all that, and it's pretty easy to make. So the things that you do not want to give them ever are chocolate, canned products because of the preservatives in them. You don't want to give them anything with garlic or onions or rhubarb. And another thing that some people think you can give is wild insects from your backyard. They're just not healthy and you do not know where they came from. So for all you know, you could be feeding your sugar glider pesticides. So it's definitely not the best choice. If you want to give them bugs, go to a pet store somewhere that sells mealworms and inquire about how they store their bugs and all that. Just be very careful about things like that. Alright guys, well that concludes the video, and here is Boopa again. He's distracted, of course. But I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Please keep tuned. I will have many more product reviews coming up, and definitely every Tuesday, it is guaranteed, I will have an animal topic of the day. So please stay tuned for that. And thank you guys so much for watching, and you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.